Hello, friends. Welcome to this amazing webinar and happy National Entrepreneur Day. I didn't totally know that was a thing until I actually became an entrepreneur, but it is a thing. And this is a day where we celebrate those of us who are brave enough and have the courage enough and the audacity to go pursue their own business dreams and to create something out of nothing, or to take an opportunity that's presented to them and fit that to their lifestyle to achieve their goals. So being an entrepreneur is hard. So shout out to everybody watching this who is an entrepreneur, and we celebrate you today. And I have two amazing people on. And before we have them introduce themselves, I am Jamie Stigliano. I'm the founder and CEO of DivaDance. If you're new to DivaDance, we are fun dance choreography classes for adults. Our mission is to become a beloved household name all over the world for all adults who love to dance, so that we can make their lives just a little bit better. And I have two amazing folks here with me that are doing that on a very local level, but that local business that they have started has big ripple effects beyond that. And so please help me and welcome Chantel Shaw, who is our owner of DivaDance in Sandy Springs. Hello, Shan.
Hi.
And welcome to Ariel from DivaDance Naperville, our owner there in Illinois. So welcome, friend.
Hello.
We are so excited. Listen, I appreciate y'all being on. I knew I wanted to do this with you a few weeks ago when I was like, if we had to recognize anybody on National Entrepreneur Day, I happen to know two really good ones. So the purpose of today is just to give folks watching and listening a peek inside what it's like day to day to be not just a DivaDance franchise owner, but to be a business owner. And I'm excited to hear about both of your stories. Obviously, I know your stories, but I'm sure I'll learn some new nuggets that I didn't know, but to tell that story to folks that are listening. So, but as always with DivaDance, we'd like to start off with a little community time question. And our question is, what song would be the entrance theme song for your DivaDance community? So not just your personal one, you can share that too, but if we had to have one song, we said, all right, DivaDance Sandy Springs, come on out. What song would they play, Shan?
Ooh, I think we would play Big Sean Click. And it's because of how strong knit we are and how close we are as a community. So when we come in the room, you can feel that energy that we hang out outside of the studio. We are just super close, super supportive of each other, and we love to be around each other. So that would be our theme song.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I was wondering what you were going to say. I saw some clips of y'all's Friendsgiving and I was like, yep, those
Yes,
are people who really care about each other. So that's
absolutely.
awesome to see. And also I love that song has some
Got a little flavor, a little swag to it. Yeah.
so good. Perfect. All right, Ariel, how about you? If DivaDance Naperville entered the scene, what song would play?
Yeah, mine. I actually picked "Golden" by the K-pop Demon Hunters, and I think that's because we're a little bit newer too. So we're just finding our voice. People are just finding out who we are, and we're having a lot of fun. And our community really loves that, like K-pop lyrical. Like we love all the fun little different types of things. So yeah, I don't know. I love
That's
to hear
such
my
a good answer. But you know what also is good about that song is it's very forward looking too. It's like, we're gonna be golden, we're gonna make it, we're gonna do it. And y'all are already doing big things. I think that's a really good song for you guys. It's also just like very happy. So amazing. I think that definitely totals up y'all's markets for sure. I would say if I had to come up with one for DivaDance HQ, we actually danced to this song a couple years ago at our Slaycation conference, which was Megan Trainor Me Too. It's very like, if I was you, I'd want to be me too. Like basically just that ultimate confidence and belief in yourself. So that's one of my all-time favorite entrance songs to come into. But I love it. Well, thank y'all guys both for being on. Let's get into your story. So let's start, Ariel, with you. How did you find DivaDance? And give us a quick version. Obviously, we could have a whole webinar dedicated to your backstory, but how'd you get here? What brought you to us?
Yeah, okay, so the quick version is I went to a Chicago Women's Expo, and it was in a time period where I was kind of looking for my next thing, and I remember it was really rainy and really cold, and I did not actually want to go, and I almost canceled. And I was just like one of those things where I was like, oh, I told someone I'd go, so I'm gonna push through. And I ended up meeting two people from DivaDance, and one of them was Lexi, who was the Chicago owner, and the other one was Ryan, who at the time was a brand ambassador. And I talked to them, and honestly, I knew in my journey what kind of I was looking for in my next step. I just didn't know the how of how I was going to get there. And maybe after 30 seconds of talking to Ryan and Lexi, I was like, perfect. They have everything. Like DivaDance was everything that I didn't have that I was looking for. And it kind of worked out perfectly that I was everything that they were looking for when looking to expand and looking for franchise owners. So I kind of knew after 30 seconds, and I was like, and I remember they were like, oh, fill out this form. And I was like, yeah, but text Jamie, like I'm going to fill out the form, but like text her right now and tell her like that she needs to meet with me. And I remember looking at I was with my aunt, and I remember looking at her, and I was like, this is going to be a whole like giant thing in my life. And I was like, I know it seems like it just kind of happened and it happened fast, but I was like, it was like, if love at first sight was never a romantic thing for me, but it was with DivaDance, and that's how it feels.
You know, they did text me, by the way. They were like, we just met our next franchise owner. And I was like, all right, relax, guys, like relax. And then we talked, and I felt the same way. So mutual love at first sight, love at first launch. But I want to acknowledge that you came in there knowing who you wanted to become, but you didn't know the vehicle to get you there. And so I think that's a really important point, that like when you make that decision to become a business owner, it's like, yes, we dream of becoming a business owner, but there's something going on in our lives that is like, click, like it just clicks. So Shan, obviously you have an amazing story. You've received our Journey Award in the past of like coming up through all the different roles of DivaDance. So give us the quick version.
Absolutely. So I started out as an instructor in Chicago. I always love to say this. The previous Chicago owner slid in my DMs. I was teaching my own classes, and she's like, I love what you're doing. I think you'd be an amazing fit. I looked up DivaDance, and I loved every single value. I felt like it was a reflection of me. So I accepted, and I actually was able to train directly with you, Jamie. It was back when we were on Zoom doing trainings like that. So I started out in Chicago. I worked with them for a few months. I moved to New York, and I was able to instruct there. That's where it evolved into me becoming a host, into kind of helping build out the market a little bit more. I started helping with hiring instructors, and that's when I started to realize there's more here than just teaching. I want more than that. Fast forward, the pandemic happened. I moved to Atlanta. No intentions. I just moved. I knew there was a DivaDance in Atlanta, so I was like, I can be an instructor there. And then at our very first location in Miami, Jamie and I were in the pool. This is how casual the conversation was. We were in a pool. She swam up. We're like, hey, like, there's a DivaDance in Atlanta. What can we do, to kind of like expand and get you more involved? And we kind of talked through what it might look like. And we pretty much came to the decision that I would love to be the manager of DivaDance Sandy Springs, is what we renamed it, and with the option to purchase. So that's what happened. I started the market here as a manager. I managed for about 6 to 9 months, and then I did started the journey of becoming the owner, and here we are. It's been almost 4 years now since I've been owner of DivaDance Sandy Springs.
Well, and Chantel, one of the things I love about you so much is you're a confident woman, but you also have such humility, and you're being real humble when it's like, well, and I became the manager. No, girl, you reinvented a market, that, had a very challenging time. Obviously, COVID shut a lot of people's operations down. You were tasked with relaunching the community.
Yes. Yes.
Relaunching the community. And that's not easy to do. Like, even with the database of people and people that were interested, and we got a location, it is not easy to take that and be like, all right, how do we take this to the next level, knowing that we're starting not even like at a 5 and we got to go to a 10, we're at a 2 and we got to get to a 10. So, that's your grit. That's your vision even, and we wanted you in that seat. So it was a natural progression for you. I mean, you were already owning it before you owned it. And that's what I think was so special. Yeah. And I met Chantel at a very early morning in Chicago. We did a little TV show together, and I knew that she was something special. And I felt that way about all of our owners, really knowing them immediately. I'm like, this person has something that we need in our system. And I know that they, DivaDance is going to contribute to them. So we're so glad you're both here and at the helm of these 2 amazing franchises. Let's talk about that concept of owning it. So Shan, what are the best parts? Let's start with the good, then we'll go to the challenges. What are the best parts of owning any business, or especially your franchise? And what are those affirming moments that you're like, this is exactly where I need to be?
Yes, my community is everything. I always have to give it up to them, because I always say we are reflections of each other. I see myself in my community, and they see themselves in me. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. We really it's not just about dance classes. We do have fun choreography classes, but we also get outside the studio. We have events together. We do diva dates. We hang out, and seeing them connect like that, it really fills my heart to know that I've helped them create a bond together. Like, I have a few members that came in, and they might be battling with different different ailments. Like I have one member who was battling with depression, and she was, really struggling. She didn't have a community around her. She joined DivaDance, and now she's hanging out with everybody all the time. She's in classes all the time. She's like working out. She's built muscle. She's so much more confident. So that is so affirming for me to see my community not only becoming stronger as a unit, but becoming more confident in themselves and in their own skin, and being able to step out into the world and do what they feel like they can do and be proud of themselves. That's what's more affirming for me. And then also seeing myself grow as well. I know when I first started as an owner, like Jamie said, it was a lot of grit that I had to put in. I was the manager, I was the host, I was the instructor, I was the CE, everything. I did all the things. And so to be able to like now see my team grow and blossom, and I can kind of step back and delegate and see them grow and see myself, learn the different things I didn't know before I was an owner. It's all just so juicy, so juicy.
Mm.
I love it.
Yeah, and I see Ariel nodding because I know it sounds like that really resonates with you. What part of what Shan said, were you like, yes, me too, girl?
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely our community, but for me specifically, I think the best thing for me is my team. I cannot say anything more about how great my team is and how we've kind of built. And also you said about like wearing all these different hats, which is so accurate. You're like, okay, sometimes I'm a CE, I'm also an instructor, I'm also a social media manager, I'm also the accountant, I'm also like marketing manager. So you kind of do all of these things, and then you find people and you kind of place them in spots that you're like, I think you're going to go great there. And sometimes they get into spots on accident, but like watching them like take their spot and just kind of grow from there. And for me, my favorite thing is helping my team grow and kind of being, I want to like, kind of like, they call me their momager, some of them, but like, I just love taking them and then like helping them grow in their, role, but then also helping them create leaders underneath their role. So it's like, I'm not just creating other workers, I'm also creating other leaders, and then watching them kind of shine. And then sometimes like I'll see things that they do, and it's just like that to me never really fails to just like make me feel really, really great. So I think that's definitely my favorite part.
One of my mentors wrote a book called Stop the Shift Show, which is basically about hourly workers, shift workers, and how the landscape in that is changing. And so something y'all both said that really resonated with me as it relates to what I learned from him is that our people who work for us in our companies, they're people with goals. They are people with goals, and they may not be the same goals as you have or what you think they should have, but everybody that walks in as part of our staff, especially, these are people with goals, and we have to treat them as such, even if they're part-time workers. So that's something I've noticed about both of you with your people is, you truly develop them. I mean, Shan, I've seen you single-handedly, like just elevate the folks that work for you. When I think of like Sapphire, who's on your team, like I've just seen her leadership, under your leadership really blossom. And so I love to hear from both of you that those are those affirming moments, as well as, of course, those beautiful community outcomes, seeing those folks that come in, wherever they're at, and then DivaDance makes an impact on them, and then that ripple effect of them walking out into the world is so major. It's so major that we don't even know. We don't even know what it does. Like I wish I could put like one of those little like Apple tags on people to know that. That's actually, I should write a children's book about this, right? Like where it's like you put a tag on people and then you see what good work you do for them, then they do out in the world. So yeah, and y'all are definitely both doing that. All of our franchise owners could probably come on here and share amazing specific stories about that impact. But we know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not all, glitter. If ChatGPT was writing this, they would say like glitter and unicorns. ChatGPT seems to write funny little quips about DivaDance because it's like not all glitter. So let's talk about the hard part. So Ariel, what are the hard things? What are the things that you're like, listen, I hate to admit this, but this part is hard. This is this is the place to kind of share that.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things is I'd say twofold. So the first one is your strengths and weaknesses kind of become magnetized very quickly. So I feel like once you take business ownership, the things that you're good at and bad at really, you can really see it. And for me personally, organization is not my strong suit. I love math and numbers. So that kind of also really shined through. But what was great throughout business ownership is the growing part, I think is hard because I feel like it's very equivalent to like what I would say going to the gym. Like, yes, it's really difficult and you have to go and you're in the middle. It feels like when you're like in the middle of growing and learning and, you know, making those decisions. But once you like leave the gym, you're like, oh, that feels really good. So for me, it was like growing my team and trying to get organized and like figuring out where to place people. And then once I figured out what I was better at and not as good at, having my team members doing things that I'm not as good at, like that was really great. And then now it's like I can learn from them too. And then I can kind of teach them what I'm good at. So that was something. And then also, I think just, I think it's just having so many things and trying to prioritize which is great. What should I do? Because as a business owner, it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't have a 9 to 5 anymore, but now I work 24/7, which I love. And as an entrepreneur, for me, I know that not a lot of other humans could work that way. I prefer it and I like it. But it does mean like if you are sitting and watching a movie and something happens, like you're not like on shift and then you can go fully relax. Like you are kind of always on and you have ideas, and the ideas that come to you at 2 a.m. are going to be ones that you can implement like during business hours the next day. So it's just the constant, there's pros and cons of everything. It's just what you prefer and what you don't prefer. So for me, it's just, you know, trying to just have it all together, and you have a million tabs open and just trying to figure out how to focus on one tab at a time.
Yeah, that's really well said. Shan, she said something that I imagine resonates with you, is just that you're kind of always on. Does that,
Yeah.
do you feel that?
Yes, there is a sense of always just needing to be on, whether it's because you're having thoughts and ideas that come to you because it's exciting and you want to just implement right away, even if it's 2 a.m. in the morning, or if it's like your staff member needs you, something, there's a fire you have to put out, you know, there's always something that kind of needs to be done. I think it's important to try to still find that like balance that I know we'll talk about a little bit later, but it definitely is a sense of like always needing to be on point. Even if you're at home watching a movie, or you're minding your business, you need to mind your actual business and not your personal business, because something's going on with the company. So that's super important. For me, there are, you know, like we mentioned, there are hills and valleys. So I would love to talk about the valleys generally and then give like a specific example. So there are always going to be ebbs and flows. I tell everyone this with entrepreneurship. And so part of the difficult part of that is when you're in that valley, what do you do? So we've had moments where we have to pivot. So, you know, since we've been in business for almost 4 years now, there's always going to be like shifts that happen. And as you're there for longer periods of time, those shifts get bigger and more noticeable. So for us, we've had a lot of our core staff members who were there at the beginning, who really helped us to grow. They're strong, and you know, I knew I can trust them. They've moved on to different parts of their life, and they were with us for 3.5 years. You know, so it wasn't like they left because they just wanted to leave. It was the next phase of their life. Like my very first host had a baby. So she's like, now I need to focus on my baby. I'm a nurse, you know, I need to reprioritize. And so that was a little bit of a blow because she was a strong closer. So it's like, now I have to like really, you know, train up we call them my JV squad, who are the folks who are newer, and get them trained to be varsity, to get to be like my very first host. You know, I had a couple of strong instructors that had to step out. That was like a blow for us as well, where now I have to, let's go ahead and rehire. Let's really be intentional about who we hire, make sure that they're aligned with those values so that we can get them strong and get them into that varsity squad as soon as possible. So when you're in those valleys, it's super important to be able to, okay, let me shift to focus here now. This is where we need the focus, like staff members need our attention. Let's focus there. And to be even more specific, when I first started, like you said, you mentioned, Ariel, your weaknesses and your strengths really are highlighted when you become an owner. And so one of my weaknesses is, it's like when you're in the interview, when you're like, this is my weakness, but it's really a strength, but it's actually a weakness. I see the good in everyone. And so, but that's not always a good thing when you're hiring. You shouldn't just focus on that when you're hiring. When I first started, I hired people because I saw their potential. And so I trust that they're going to get to this certain level. I can see that they have the potential to get there, but maybe they're not in alignment with our values. Maybe they just want to choreograph. They don't want to be an instructor to build up a community. They're focused on their artistry. Right. And so I've had people who were focused on their artistry and that wasn't a strong fit for us. Or I've had a person who they just weren't ready to be in the professional realm, and they were all over the place. And so I saw those red flags early, but I ignored them because I focused on the good in them. And
Yeah.
while yes, it is good to like highlight that, that doesn't mean that you have to hire them and work with them, because they
Mm,
might not get to that potential that you see.
mm. Oh my gosh, I relate to that so much because I love, some people say they're a lifelong learner. I'm a lifelong teacher. Like, I love to teach, I love to coach, I love to help other people. And I do the same thing. I'm like, ooh, a project, and I've really had to work on that as I've gotten older, and I've gotten more, not even my age, but just like my commitments. And so I think that's really a sign of wisdom, honestly, is what you just said, Shan, is wisdom. And wisdom only comes with experiences. And so I think y'all both sort of shared the parts that are hard. And I guess my question is, Shan, like, how do you maintain your mindset through those moments? Like, one of the things I tell owners a lot is about facts, not feelings, and feelings aren't facts. So
Mhm.
what do you do in those moments? Like, it's very easy, like when those folks leave, and they go on to the next phase of their life. What I heard you say is they're going on to the next phase of their life. What I didn't hear you say is everybody's quitting. So how do you make a conscious effort to focus on facts and not feelings?
I have to zoom out,
Mhm.
because when you're in the moment, it's so easy to get wrapped up in how you feel about it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss my staff members. I'm going to miss, the connection. I'm going to miss what we have. But, yes, that is true. And also zoom out. There are two people that left, and that's part of life. And so now we have to rehire, and that's just what it is. So being able to like take a step back, take yourself out of it, but also in the same time, when it does happen, allow yourself to feel that, but that doesn't mean that that has to drive you.
Mm,
I actually had a dream one day where I was in this car and there was someone driving next to me. I didn't want to look at the person. I was just like focused on the where I was, and I was scared. I was, I don't know who this is driving me around, but I know we're going somewhere. And then all of a sudden the car stopped. The person got out. They came around. They opened the door, and they got me out, and they were like, "It's your turn to drive." I got in the car and I took the wheel, and I was okay, I guess it's my turn to drive. I'm like, okay, still scared to look at this person. When I turn around and look at them, it was me.
ooh.
And I took that as that was my shadow self. That was my like insecurities. That was my, all the things that can allow you to, they can drive you in that moment, but they shouldn't always drive you. You need
Mm,
to drive. You need to take the wheel. And
oh my
while those
god.
feelings are valid and they are in the car with you, they don't have to drive. You have to drive.
I
You have
got chills. That was, I mean, because I was like, who's it gonna be? Is it gonna be her mom? Is it gonna be okay? Oh my gosh, that's so true. And again, that wisdom, and then I don't know that 10 year ago you would have had that wisdom. This is what
No.
this is about, right? And this is what I love in our business owners. I love being y'all's partner because I love to see y'all's journey. I love to, and I think I said this, Shan, when you were named owner of the year, that you make everybody around you better, including me. And that's something I learned from you guys, and I see, and it's just such a beautiful thing. So, well, thank you for sharing that. That's good stuff. So, Shan, we'll stick with you. You were, as I mentioned, recently named owner of the year. You got your pin. We got you your diamond, and I want people to know that this is largely peer voted. And so, why do you think you got such high praise from your listen? It's okay to be, you're humble, but you can also have, pull your confidence out. Um,
Yes.
why do you think that folks recognize you in that way?
Yeah. So first, I have to say I'm super inspired by our boss babes, and it's crazy to have started as an instructor and looking up to the owners, and now being on the same wavelength as them. So that's an honor in itself. I think for me, the process of preparing to your application for owner of the year. So for those who don't know, you submit an application, and you talk about the different accomplishments and the challenges and the growth moments that you've been through for your peers to look at and read to be able to vote for you. Now, when I nominated myself as new owner of the year last year, I kind of rushed through the process. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, okay, let me just do this. It was like 2 days before. I was like, let me just do this. And I didn't think about the things that I had actually done that year. I just kind of skimmed through it. This year, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down 3 weeks ahead of time. I'm going to reflect on the things that I've done this year. It was a tough year. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I said, I lost a lot of staff members. I lost a few members. It was a tough pivotal year. So I was like, let me sit down and write out what I've accomplished this year, what challenges I've had, where I grew through those challenges, how I grew, what the business has gone through, how we've overcome these things. And I took the time to sit down and reflect on everything that I've been through and put it on paper so that my peers can see what I did. Now the year before that it was a great year. but I didn't put it on paper for them to see what happened. This year, I put it on paper. I was like, this is what I did. We had our most successful recital. It was profitable by this amount. We were much more successful than last year. I was able to take a step back and watch my staff grow. And I really like honed in on those accomplishments that I had done and my community has done over the year and put it on paper so that my peers can read that. And I can also read. I did it for myself as well. I was like, this was a hard year. I want to prove to myself that I pushed myself this year. And I want everyone else to see what I have done and how much I've worked to get to this part of my life and to get into this part of the business. And so I wrote out, all the challenges that I had. I wrote out that we had lost staff members. I wrote out that we had lost members. I wrote how we were going to continue to retain the members we have and grow into where we want to be and how this is an opportunity. And I even named it. This is, personally, this year was my year of graceful discipline. And it shows through the work that I have put in. And I put that in the application. This was a year for my business. It was pivotal. It was a moment to pivot. And I put that in the application. Not just saying it, but how did I do that? Yeah. And so I think, putting it out so that they can actually read it. I think it was, knowing what we had done. It's hard to not want to vote for someone who has really put that effort in and done their best at it.
Well, and I think people see themselves in that struggle. And I think it's it's literally the definition of inspiring when you're like, okay, this is where I'm at. I see somebody who already went through the same thing or the challenges I'm facing and they emerged better because of it. Okay, I like that. Versus it just being like, I had this much profit and everything was perfect and everything was amazing. And I think that's just, people want to see themselves. It's inspirational. It's aspirational. And the other thing I'll add to that you may not even totally acknowledge is that, like, you show up, you show up as your full self, and that shows. That's hard to fake. It's hard to fake that type of authenticity. So, what is this kind of title? I mean, listen, it's just a title, but it's also a good, it's a really special title. So what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. It really means a lot. Like I said, starting off with, looking up to Boss Babes, and I still do. I'm still very inspired by each and every one of you. But to have started as an instructor and looking up to these entrepreneurs that are doing their thing, that are running businesses and working it, and now being able to say, these are my colleagues, that means so much. And to know that my colleagues that I used to be, look up to, I still look up to, and I used to look up to, decided to put me in this position, that it really means a lot. And it shows the hard work that we have put in as a community, because it'd be hard for me to be in this position if it weren't for all of you. I wouldn't be in this position if it weren't for all of you. Yeah. So I'm very grateful to be named owner of the year. Very grateful.
So great. So exciting and fun to watch you. I love watching people win. So I love it. So Ariel, obviously new owner of the year, a big deal also. And a first year of ownership in any business is hard, right? Like, let's just call it what it is. You got a lot of money going out. You got money coming in, but you got a lot going out. You got a lot of time. You also don't have muscle memory in a business yet. That's a big thing, is muscle memory. It's like kind of like choreography. Like the first time we run it with the music, I'm a little stiff and I'm a little like behind, but by the end I got it. I'm adding my own flair, so some of our more seasoned veteran owners, like they have the fluidity with their business operation. You're in that first year where things might be a little clunky. So how did you overcome that? What were some of your points where you were like, I got it, I'm going to keep going? Like, how did you achieve that?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll say it feels clunky, and sometimes we feel very glamorous and, or glamorous and shiny, and you're like, I feel great, and saying you're a business owner and you made this much profit. But then when you hit the valleys, I think those are really the moments of like how your business is going to do over the long run. I think those little moments are what kind of piles up. And that's something that I just feel like something that was important to me was to be like a sponge and to really absorb as much as I can, especially from other boss babes that I thought I wanted to look like. And so something that I had to learn right early on was that everybody kind of has their own definitions of success and what they want in a business owner and what they want their career as an entrepreneur to look like. And it's totally okay to have different visions of that. But for me, it was like the people that more closely aligned with what my vision was. I think I just really put a lot of stock into what they had to say and during our conversations. And It's actually funny that you mentioned running into Chantel at a pool, because I had a great talk with Chantel in the pool last year at Slaycation. I don't even know if you remember this, Chantel, but it was like, and it was like an idea about scheduling or something. And we talked about it, and it was such like a golden nugget for me, and I took it back, and it changed our schedule and made it so much easier, and so made our systems easier. So for me, it's just like consistently having conversations with people that get you to think differently, and then making decisions that fit your business. So maybe that decision will fit your business, maybe it won't, but kind of being that filter, and then being open to new ideas, and just kind of like knowing that you're going to hit a valley. I think that was something where it's like sometimes you feel as a business owner, if you break even that month, or if you don't make that much profit that month, you're like, you feel a lot of shame in it. And you don't really want to admit that, because then it means that you're not a good business owner or you're not successful. When really, when you hit that, it's what you do after that that defines you as a business owner. So, you know, if you've even, and it doesn't even have to be 1 month, it could be a season of where your profitability is down, for example. But then it's like, okay, how do you respond to that season, and how do you respond to the different problems that come up, and how do you deal with that, and how do you move forward? And for me, that's just been the biggest thing. So I just keep taking golden nuggets from every owner that I hear about, all the different, and it's like, as an owner, you're the umbrella of, yes, you might have the leaders of different teams, but you're kind of the catch-all for all different teams. So
well, two things on that. It sounds like, Chantel, you need to set up just like an office, at a pool office.
I was about to say something about the pool.
That's where your good deals happen, and your good ideas happen. So I think Chantel's poolside offices are now open for business. But yeah, you know, it's interesting what you're kind of saying, Ariel, and this is how I take it as, you know, there's leading measures and lagging measures. And I was talking to an owner yesterday. I said, you know, listen, the reason you don't have leads booked in your class this week is because you didn't do what you're supposed to do last week. The reason you have members canceling this month is because 2 months ago you didn't assimilate them into the community and make sure they form a habit. There's leading measures and there's lagging measures. And I think sometimes we take those lagging results as like, you know, like we don't recognize that it's actually what we did prior to that. So I think as a new owner, it's having those good business habits. What's something, Ariel, that you kind of do every day that you're proud of as like a business owner habit, that when you do it, you're like, I'm like a real business owner? Like, what's something that you do that makes you feel that way?
Oh my gosh. I feel like there's a lot of different things I do every day as a business owner. To me, I think I check in with my staff all the time. So my staff are really good about like the specific tasks, and I have different projects that I'm working on for things. But for me, I also have like a very consistent scheduling with my entire leadership team. So I talk to them every single day. And so whenever I check in with my staff, or whenever and this is part of my organizational, you know, things. So like Asana, for example, I am on Asana all the time. I am on our email all the time. But I think for me, it's just, I'd say the most important for me is I love my home office. I created a place where I really enjoy to work. And I have like, it's a nice setup. And so for me, it's like, it's not about like the specific little business things that I do. It's just like every single day I wake up and I have my morning routine, and then I come in here and I have a place that I am ready to like get down to business.
Yes.
And so these are really great ways for me every day to kind of like hone in on all of my business habits and make sure that I do all my things and make sure that I connect with my staff. And so those are kind of the things every day that get me going.
Yeah, I really relate to that. Like, there's something that when I sit in my chair and I'm like getting ready to go to work, I just feel like powerful. I feel powerful. So I really relate to that. Like, I don't think, you know, don't sleep on having an environment that inspires you to work. Like, you know,
Yes.
and that's just like, you know, your bedroom. If you're working in your bed, I mean, that, listen, if that's what helps you, but I could never do that, because my bed is where I sleep and I relax and I recharge. But my desk is where I fucking make shit happen. You know what I mean? And so, you know, setting up things that make you have that good environment where you're their most productive self, you show up as your best self, you have energy, it's a happy place. You know, your desk and your work environment's a happy place. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. So that kind of brings me to, you know, we talked about not being able to turn off ownership. Shan, I always admire you. Like, I feel like you do such a great job of creating a work life. I think work life balance is BS. It's really that harmony, right? It's having harmony where they can coexist. What does that look like for you? I think you know, from what I've seen and what I know about you, you're pretty good at it.
Yeah, it's definitely boundaries. Having some strong boundaries, and I don't just mean for external forces. I mean for yourself, because we love what we do, right? We love the work. We love to thrive in the business. We love to see the successes. We love to make sure our staff are good. We love our work environment. We have to set boundaries with ourselves to take time. So for me, I take time every month, whether that's a small amount of time, a couple of days, or if it's, every couple of months I try to do a week. So for example, my birthday's coming up, so I'm going to take a week off for my birthday, and just do what I do. And during that time, I have to be strong in my boundaries for myself. I'm going to make sure my staff have what they need so that I can actually take time. So for myself personally, I'm gonna take Slack off my phone. I'm gonna make sure my emails are my vacation is on, so people know I'm not gonna reply. My manager will reply. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not on my computer. I'm gonna put my computer to the side. I'll use my iPad so that I'm not doing as much. I'm not as tempted to do work. But in order for me to do that, I have to set my staff up for success, because I cannot take a time off if I don't trust them to do their thing. And so there's a few things that I have to do to make sure that they're prepared. One, we have meetings about when we're going to have time off. We know in advance. We talked about this in October, me and Sapphire as my general manager. In November, I'm gonna be off for a week. What are we gonna do to make sure that you're ready? One, you also need time off. So you take your time off, because I can't have you trying to work while I'm out and you're burned out, because then things are not gonna float the way that they need to float. So making sure that she is taken care of, she's taking time off, and then the staff under her, she's talking to them, making sure that they're taking their time off, and then also planning and game planning. Game planning what's going to happen while I'm out. How are you going to communicate with staff while I'm out? What are the things that need to be done while I'm out? Who is your go-to person for XYZ? Setting up a meeting with our franchise success coach and you, so that you guys can make plans while I'm out, and we can make sure that things are still going, so that I can trust that everything is taken care of. Then my mind is not going to be like, oh, well, I didn't get her prepared, so let me check
Yep.
Slack real quick. Let me check my email real quick.
Well,
No.
and then she's not resentful of you for being out.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
she's already taken, like, she just took a week off. She's back. Today is her third day back. And she needed that time. She came back. She's feeling refreshed. She missed it. That's the thing about, you need to take the time off so you can actually miss it. You need
Yeah.
to be able to fill your cup up, so when you come back, you can actually give to your community the way that you want to. You can't fill your community's cup if yours is empty.
By the way, you mentioned boundaries. I just want to one definition of a boundary that I heard is that a boundary is something that asks nothing of another person. It's
Mm.
boundaries of what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
boundary
Mhm.
asks nothing of the other person. It's only what
That's
you're gonna do.
That's
And so
real.
what you're saying is, it's like, I'm not saying you can't contact me. What I'm
Mhm.
saying is that I'm not going to respond.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so a
Yes.
boundary is not, again, what I ask of anybody else, it's what I'm going to do in response to it. And I think that that is
Yeah.
important in business ownership. And you said something that really, really grabbed me, which is like, we do love what we do. And like, I freaking love this company. I love our mission. I love the actual work. Like, I love being on this webinar with you guys right now. I loved preparing for it. I love like everything. I love teaching. I love watching video. Everything we do, I like, really like to do it. It's not a chore to me. I don't feel mad at it. Like, I don't have Sunday scaries. Like, I love what we do. And so that is where, but to what you said, Shannon, is really important, is like, but it's so that I can show up as my best self, I still have to have harmony. Like, I have to be with my
Absolutely.
kids on the weekend. I have to be when I'm with my daughters. Like, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to put my laptop away and manage my time better, so during the day, so that like I don't have to have my laptop open at night when I'm with my girls.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, so I love what you just said. And just being able to like say, this is how I'm going to hold the line, not because I'm punishing anybody else or even myself. It's because I know that I need to show up as my best. So I love
Yes.
that. Ariel, anything to add about that, about like how you kind of have harmony?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was one of the hardest lessons, I think, for me to learn, because when I first started, I was so just like excited and I wanted to dive in. And so I spent so much time trying to create as many systems and things as I could. And so I burned myself out, and I hate using that term. I just mean, like, I got really, like, I was working late, and I loved, because my creativity flows at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay. And I love it. And so, it was kind of that mixture of like, okay, I'm working so much, but what is a good, like, I was sprinting because I was so excited and I had all this energy. But now I'm like, okay, when you're done sprinting, you're like, actually, now I still have a marathon to run and you still have to keep going. So, like, what is a realistic pace to continue moving forward? So, for me, I think it's kind of like a mixture because it's like, yes, now I kind of understand what people say about working 24/7, but then also having boundaries. So what that means to me is like I will answer Slack messages during an appropriate time period where I'm on and I'm working. I will answer Slacks during that time, even if it's during class, whatever I decide in my personal life is a good amount of time to answer those things or emails or whatever. But working 24/7, for example, I was at Slaycation this year and I had one of the biggest, greatest revelations about business ownership of something that I was just kind of like talking about with and kind of figuring out. And it happened at 4 o'clock in the morning in another owner's hotel room where it was like me and I think a couple other owners. And we were just kind of like shooting back and forth. And it was just one of the greatest conversations, I think, that totally changed my mindset about some things that I was struggling with. So in that sense, it's like I love talking about that stuff. It's not like it was work for me. It technically is work, but it was something that I just really enjoy talking about. So in that sense, we work 24/7. Or if I'm watching, I'm scrolling and I see an idea of something, it's like, oh, I have an idea. Great. And it's so like in that sense, I'm working 24/7 because my brain is constantly like, wanting new ideas. But I do set boundaries on the things that are like, that require something extra of me. That is like, okay, answering Slacks, answering emails, checking off tasks and doing those things. Like those I do need to have like a space and time for. And then I also, something that for me has been made a difference is I found a couple different hobbies where I can put all the technology away and like truly zone myself out. And if I have ADHD, but if an idea pops in my head, great, I'll have an idea notebook that's right by me and I'll jot it down. But like, I want to be able to like fully make time to rest, because if you don't make time to rest, your body will make time to rest and it'll do it when it's inconvenient.
That's a really good point. And that's something I think that those of us who are achievers and go-getters and we just like to work, we have a strong work ethic, but we also have a strong work pleasure associated with working, and work doesn't necessarily just mean at your job. Work is like doing work of any sort. So those are all really good little nuggets and lessons and just good reminders that like it doesn't have to be hard. Do not ever contact me. It's like, listen, here's how I'm going to manage my own energy. It's energy management, self-management, just so you can show up as your best. Such good stuff. Okay. The last section I want to talk to y'all about is really about money, honey. And so I'm sure people watching are wondering, A, how did you fund a business? B, are you making money? How you doing this? Like, I like to ask the questions that I know people watching are wondering about, because we talked about obviously like the contribution to the world is high when you own a business. And, I heard both you say this is pretty much like your full-time focus. So Shan, you kind of creatively funded the start of your business. Talk about kind of the financial aspect.
Yeah. So when I started, as I was manager, I started a campaign called the Road to Boss Babe fundraiser. And I was a former gymnast. So when I was growing up, my mom had to fundraise a lot to get me through competitions because gymnastics is very expensive. And so I learned what it looked like to lean on your community and ask for help where you needed it so that you can achieve something. So as I was managing, I was like, okay, I need a little bit of support. I wonder if my community or anybody who, my support system is open to helping me fund this new venture that I'm looking to take. And so I started a fundraiser and I pushed it out. I talked about my why. I talked about, the intentions. I talked about what my plans were going to be in the fundraiser. And I was able to earn up to $7,000 that went towards the funding of my business. And then the rest, me and my husband put together our funds to purchase the unit. And that was really like, it was a beautiful sight to see that my support system and my community was so willing to help me get to this level. And so that was, it still warms my heart to think about how much they were willing to help me get to this point. And now, did that answer your question? Was there another part of the question?
It's yeah, I mean, definitely. So one thing I would definitely want people to know is like you don't have to just have like a lot of family money or like a pot of gold somewhere in your Venmo, to to be able to achieve it. So what I'm hearing you say is like you didn't let funds be the reason you didn't pursue. Like you
Right.
figured it out.
Right. There's always creative resources for you to figure it out. I know there's grants out there. There are different loan opportunities. So there are definitely ways for you to figure out how to make it work. You don't never let money stop you from achieving your goals. You can make it happen. Whatever you set your mind to. I know people say that all the time, but it's true. If you say I'm going to do this thing and you really believe it, because you can't just say it and not believe it. You have to believe it. You can make it happen no matter what creative resources you have to use. Open up your mind to think outside the box. It doesn't have to be your typical, I have my parents have the money and they're going to fund it. No, it can come from any source. Just
And
open up
even
your
if it
mind.
is your parents, it could be like, okay, I'm going to do a loan from my family or my grandma. It doesn't have to necessarily be like, oh, she's just going to give it to me. So
Right.
I always say, Shan, where there's a will, there's a way. And if
Right.
there's no way, then you didn't have the will. Like that's kind of how
There
I
you
tend to
go.
operate. So Ariel, talk about how you funded the business.
Yeah. So I actually started, I was a teacher for a very long time. And I don't know if you guys know anything about teacher salaries, but we don't all make that much money. And definitely not enough extra to what I would say start my own business. And I did love teaching. I knew that I wanted to go into business entrepreneurship or something along those lines. And it was a lot of things in my personal life that I was able to finally switch over. And I took kind of a jump and I switched my career. So I then went into education sales. And when I went into education sales, I was able to save up a bit more money than I had been in the past. And I think that there is just a thing to say about what kind of life you want to live and how you want to do that. And so there are pros and cons to everything. I have so many friends that are living in the city and they have a salary job and they make a good amount of money and they can go to work and then come home and then like forget about things. And that is great for them. And, safety, there's a lot of people I know that like, they like having that salary and that safety, and that's amazing. I knew that I wanted to do a business. So I knew that I wanted to kind of take that leap. And so what I ended up doing was because I had enough capital with my sales job, I was able to put some down. I didn't have a ton, but I loved also that DivaDance was something that I was able to do as a franchise. And I looked into other franchises prior and it was so accessible comparatively that it's like, I just can't not do it. I mean, it was so accessible. So I was able to put some down. And then I also, talked to a couple financial advisors. And what I ended up doing was getting on, I think it was like 2 or 3 different business credit cards that was able to put off my interest for a year. And I know we're talking kind of specific, but I feel like this was great for me to know. So I ended up opening 2 or 3 business credit cards that put off my interest for a year. So I knew that as soon as I was able to open those credit cards and get those things out, I had a year to pay it all back before my interest would. So that was just a lot of math on my end of calculating and being like, okay, I'm making this much profit, I'm making this much. How much do I need to pay each month in order to make sure I don't pay any interest off of those credit cards, and just kind of like profit planning. And then if I was short one month, it was like, okay, well, what are we going to do as a business owner? What do you do? Well, let's try to get another party, or let's do a video series, or let's do something else to try to make up for that cash flow. So it was just, yeah. And I think in business ownership, financials and otherwise, it's just like, if there's a will, there's a way. And because our Boss Babe channel is so strong, it's like, if you want the money, like talk among us and we can help you figure out
Totally.
solution that works for you. And it may be no one else has done it, but we'll think of something.
One of the things that you mentioned at the beginning is just talking about like the lifestyle you want to have. So I have bootstrapped DivaDance this entire way. I've been doing this 10 years almost. And I never, we're about to pursue potential outside investors, but I never did. And I started all with my own money, and then we've taken on debt along the way. We've done different creative things. We put profit back into the business. I mean, that is my number one thing. But the biggest thing that I was able to do was I reduced my own personal capital needs in terms of my own overhead, which I think entrepreneurs don't understand sometimes. Like, I came from a corporate job. I worked at Sony Music for many years. I had a very nice salary. I made a lot of money in the music business. But like, then when you become an entrepreneur, you got to make a choice. It's like, well, do I want to have the lifestyle that afforded me, but not create any assets for myself and not have a lifestyle I want in terms of my time is my own? Or am I willing to? Here's some of the things I did. I moved back in with my parents. I delivered groceries when we first started. My husband had an extra side job because he left to come help me build this. We shared a car for many years. Like all the things that you have to do that were so worth it. And I still make sacrifices. I have a very small house. My daughters share a room. Like we don't take a lot of trips, like because I'm still building. I'm still building. So I think the moral of the story is, number one, where there's a will, there's a way. And as part of that, there are so many options based on what you're willing to do to be successful. So I love that y'all shared that. I know you're both full-time in your business now. And so I want to talk about what's next for you. So Shan, earlier you and I were chatting and you mentioned like you got some new projects you might be working on. What's ahead for you, both Chantel, non-DivaDance owner, and what's ahead for DivaDance Sandy Springs?
Yeah, so DivaDance Sandy Springs specifically, we are actually planning our 2026 right now. And so we've moved some things around with our program. So we're really excited to like launch our performance program calendar this year. We want to have a full calendar for people to know what's happening this whole year so they can
Love
start
it.
planning it out. So we are doing our showcase. We've renamed it Showcase. We're going to be doing that in April in the springtime. Normally we do it in the winter. So we're really excited to have a spring showcase to kind of like hopefully increase our audience as well. We're excited to be doing another solo series in February, which went really, really well for our Valentine's Day shoots. We're excited for our Diva dates. We have some really fun Diva dates planned this year. We're going to be going ice skating in December, which is going to be super cute. We've never done that before. So we're really excited to like do a lot more community-based events, Diva dates, and really building up that community. I'm looking to get my face out there more. So I want to attend more events, both virtually and in person, so that people know who I am as DivaDance Sandy Springs owner, and they want to come and take classes. I've already got my business cards that I've been
Go.
practicing passing those out more and talking to people. It could just be in passing, like we smile at each other and I'm like, hey, come take class with me. So I'm
Yes.
looking to do that a lot more.
Hey, real fast on that, Chantel. Most entrepreneurs don't realize that you are your best marketing tool. Like you
Yeah,
wearing your shirt. I wore my Diva. I wear my DivaDance shirt like everywhere I go. And you'd be surprised at how many people are like, "Oh, I've been seeing that. I've been wanting to try that." I literally
yeah,
I walked into a salon the other day, and someone goes, "DivaDance. I've been seeing that. I'm wanting to try that." So yes,
yeah.
entrepreneurs, little tidbit for you. You are your best walking billboard. If I was a better driver, I would have a van wrap or I'd have a wrap on my car. But I'm a horrible driver, so I'm not trying to damage the brand. But yes, okay. So Shan, I love that, putting yourself out there more. That is wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to doing that and just really, building out the brand DivaDance Sandy Springs, like people DivaDance in general, but now people know we're in Sandy Springs. So we want to do more Sandy
Yes.
Springs related events. Personally, if you didn't know, I'm a former gymnast, and I did that for 16 years of my life. It was a nice chunk of my time, and so I'm actually working on a documentary to talk about my experiences as a gymnast and how I've transmuted that experience into entrepreneurship. So you're going to be seeing. That's why I've been posting a lot more on social. So you'll be
We
seeing.
want to see all the we want
Yeah,
to see the flips, and I need to see old
yeah,
footage of you. I need your beautiful mother, who I love so dearly, to pull out the old photos. Okay, I can't wait to see that.
yes. It's going to
Okay.
be awesome. I'm
That
excited.
is awesome. All right. Well, listen, you're a winner. Winners win. I always tell you that. And so can't wait to see what's ahead for you. So, Ariel, we've got, as I mentioned at Slaycation when we gave you your amazing award, we've got big plans for you. So, talk a little bit about what's ahead for Ariel in 2026.
Yeah, so I kind of am, I'd say two different paths. So for Ariel is one, expanding Naperville. So in terms of Naperville, we are doing a lot more, again, community-based events. So we're walking in what was formerly known as the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade with a lot of the other shy area markets, which is exciting. We haven't announced this to our community yet. So if any of our community members
Exclusive.
are on here, you'll get to find out early. We have a showcase coming up in the winter, the beginning of 2026, our first showcase that we've done. And I think that some of our members kind of have like an inkling that that's happening, but there's a lot of back end planning that's, getting done, and everyone's super excited about it for staff. So we have that on our way. So just kind of expanding and getting Naperville going up and running. But on the Ariel end, I am hoping to personally kind of expand DivaDance in the Midwest as much as we can. And so that is another big project that I am working on, and just kind of yeah, making some choices right now that's like putting my head down, working really hard. So that way, in the next couple of years, we can build and grow out. And I think for me, expanding DivaDance into what we can make it, and me using my love of math to help other business owners and especially like women achieve their business dreams that maybe they didn't think was possible, is something that I am working on. And I don't know how much more you want me to say
So
about
exciting. No, you nailed it. So watch this space, as they say, watch this space.
Yep.
I love it. Well, I'm so glad you were both on. Let's just wrap up with just one piece of advice for someone watching that maybe has not started their entrepreneur journey yet, not necessarily just with DivaDance, but in general. What would you say to that person? Chantel, what's your message for that person?
I would say go for it. Go for it. You know what you want. You know that you're excited about it. Like run on that momentum of being excited about something new and push yourself beyond your limits to go for what it is that you want to achieve. So you are able to do it. Reach out to your support system. There's so many of us here in the Boss Babe community that would love to talk to you. I know I've talked to a few of you, Valerie being one of them, and now you're an owner. So see, there's definitely opportunity here by reaching out to your support system in your community and go for it. Don't be afraid. Just do it.
Let's go. I love it. Ariel, anything you'd say to folks that are maybe thinking about entrepreneurship as a path for them?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo Shannon, say go for it, but also like have actual steps, but then do the steps. I think there's a really big difference between creating a list of to-do things, and a lot of people want to do it or they have ideas, and a huge difference is actually taking the leap and actually doing it. And once you take that leap, you figure it out as you go. You're not going to know everything. I say, I mean, I don't know this from personal experience, from what I've heard, it's kind of like having a baby. Like you're never fully gonna feel ready to like, have such a huge thing, but you just kind of do it.
Y'all, I'm putting a little link in the chat here. So go see that. I don't know why I did that. Okay, yes, perfect. So we have some next steps, folks. If you are like, man, DivaDance sounds awesome, I'd love to be part of this amazing owner community. And just one plug for our franchise owners, y'all. I personally selected all these folks. Like these are wonderful, amazing people that have values alignment with us. They have the work ethic. Protecting our owner community is really important to me, so that they have great relationships with each other and they have that collaboration. We don't gatekeep owners. Like I know some franchise systems, they're like, no, you can't talk to each other. I'm like, you have to talk to each other. You have to collaborate, and that makes us better. And so I take that super seriously. So if you're watching this and you're like, this kind of sounds like an owner community I want to be part of, franchising is awesome. I specifically wanted to franchise so that I could help women create assets for themselves and they could be in business for themselves, but never by themselves. That is such an important piece of this. So if you're watching this and you're like, this sounds interesting, you can scan this. There's a couple ways you can work with us. You can schedule a call right now to start that conversation. Danny Ledesma is our VP of franchise development. She's also a franchise owner herself. By the way, I'm also an owner. I own a territory myself, so I have the experience on the front lines now. And then we have another great opportunity. You can attend as Discovery Day. We call it Boss Babe Boot Camp. Our next one's coming up in the spring. That's where you can come visit HQ here, meet us in person, take my class, take other people's classes, learn about business ownership in person and see if our culture is right for you. Or if you're like, this sounds cool, but just, email me the rest of the story, then you can just join our mailing list to keep in touch with us and let us know how we can be a resource to you. But if you're in a DivaDance area and you haven't taken a class yet, let's go. We want to see you in our classes. We know that dance can truly change the world through mental health, physical health, community, all the important things that really is what life is all about. So thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you, Ariel and Chantel. I just love you both so much and appreciate you and just love being your partner in this journey and your friend. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and happy Entrepreneur Day.
Yay.